Happy Sunday. Yes, I want to stamp this with the day that I'm doing this recording simply because it's going to make sense as I begin my narrative about our conversation today. Today, we're talking about the fact that we can leave those jobs that make us feel depressed, nauseated, sad, and as if a vampire is sucking the life out of us. Now, who am I? I'm Coach Tukwesa, and I am a certified public speech speaker, a published author, a mother of two amazing children, a Bahamas beach lover. Yes, the ocean suits me. I coach and train employees in the corporate world, but I also provide professional development and personal development coaching. I've worked with women from all across the world. Even though I'm based in the Bahamas, I've had the opportunity to work with women from all across the world. And I'm passionate about the work that I do because as a teenager and even in my adult life, I often wish that there was a community of support that I could tap into that would help me grow myself individually, that would help me grow my talent, and so, because I have this passion for helping others, specifically women, um, I share as much as I can to help them move from a place of feeling like victims into a place of feeling like victors. So, if you're here and you're watching, drop me a hi in the comments so that I know that you're here with me and that I'm not alone. I want you to think for just a second. Let's dive deep into our dialogue today. Think just for a second and let me know if you know anyone that this has ever happened to, because I know that this has happened to me. It's Friday, working in the corporate world, so excited about the weekend. TGIF. Yes, it's the weekend. Can't wait to get off. You get off Friday, enjoy your Friday evening, get up on Saturday, enjoy your Saturday, socialize, run errands, do whatever it is that you need to do to get your Saturdaying on. And then Sunday morning comes. And as Sunday morning comes, you now have this thought, oh my goodness, tomorrow I have to go to work. And so Sunday is no longer a place of joy. It's now these thoughts about work, and I have to go to work, and I have to deal with my boss. I have to deal with my coworkers. Hi there. So nice to see you, my beautiful friend. Thank you for showing up today. And so, yes, it's Sunday, and now you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to go to that place tomorrow. And so the joy of Sunday is now being sucked away from you because you're counting the hours. And as Sunday progresses into the PM hours and the late night hours, you're having more and more anxiety about the fact that you have to go to this job that's sucking the life out of you. I don't know if you have any friends or if you know of anyone where that dialogue fits. I know many years ago, about 10 years ago in the corporate world, it fit my life. I looked forward to the weekend. And then on Sunday, I started to dread that tomorrow is work day. But I want to give you some tips today that I hope will support you as you face Monday with Sunday blues. The very first thing I'd like to bring into your consciousness is that we can shift our thoughts about the job that we're currently on that's sucking the life out of us. Recognize that that job is a meantime situation and not a full-time situation, because the truth is, you have the power of choice. The choice is to stay in that same job for years and years and years and years, be unhappy, be depressed, be sad, feel undervalued and underappreciated. Or you can choose to say, I'm not happy in this space. I need to be in this space, however, to meet my financial obligations, but this will be a temporary situation for me. I need the funds from this job to take care of my bills, my family, my obligations. And so I will make this job that's sucking the life out of me, that I don't like, that I don't enjoy, my meantime situation. We have the power to not make a permanent situation out of a career or a job that's sucking the life out of you. So that's the first point I want you to type for me. The first point is that you can decide that the job that you're in today that's making you sad, depressed, or unhappy will be your main time situation, and you will not stay in that job as a full time situation for the rest of your life. The second thing I'd like to encourage you to do as you start facing the Monday blues is to think about how you can up level your skills. Because while you're in that main time situation where you're unhappy, you're sad, you're depressed, and you know you don't want to stay in that situation, you now have the power to think about, how do I improve myself? What are the things that I need to work on that will make me a more valuable employee? Focus on those transferable skills. What are the skills that I can take from job to job to job, and how can I become an expert with those skill sets? What are the soft skills that I need? We need personality, charisma, connection. We need to have grace with other people. We need to know how to lead with empathy. So, what are the soft skills that I need to develop while I'm in my main time situation? Because let's just be real, to get out of their main time situation is going to require some effort on your behalf. So it means that you are going to have to put some work in to up level your skills. This may mean that you get a certification. This may mean that you start working on your degree. Whatever you need to do to up level your skills, do that while you are sitting in this meantime situation. Every extra moment, your lunchtime, your break time, after work, every extra moment that you have, focus on up leveling your skills. That's going to do two things for you. The first thing it's going to do is going to allow you to be okay with your meantime situation. It's going to allow you to be okay sitting in a toxic environment, because you're going to understand that this is not your end. The second thing it's going to do, it's going to motivate and encourage you, because now you're building your skill set and it's giving you hope that your next job will be something that you love, that you enjoy. And so, yes, thank you so much. We can choose to see our present depressed job situation as temporary and make the best out of it by changing our mindset and working on ourselves while aiming for a better job. You nailed it. You nailed it. And so that's the second thing. The first thing is to recognize this is a meantime situation, it's not permanent. The second thing is we have to up level our skills, become better employees, better leaders, build our personal brand, the stamp that we put on every interaction. We want to level every aspect of our professional and personal lives up. The third thing I'd like to encourage you to do is to network with other people. Networking is such a powerful key. You get to meet other people who are in the position that can help you. This may be someone that is at a Rotary Club who has contacts at organizations that you may want to work with, and you may end up volunteering for a time, because voluntary work can lead to permanent work. You want to network on LinkedIn. You want to network on your social media platforms. Get to know more people, diversity and inclusion, and not be judgmental of other people. Get to know them and allow them to get to see you. When you post on your social media platforms, make sure that you're posting content that shows you in your best light. Make sure it's content that speaks to who you are as a professional, particularly on the LinkedIn platform. And you're showcasing your skills, you're showcasing your wisdom, you're showcasing your talent just by engaging with other people. Join some groups where you can share your expertise, attend functions virtually or in person, and show up in that room as your authentic self. Let the bright light that is inside of you shine and illuminate the room that you're in, so that the people who need you at their work establishment are attracted to you. The law of magnetism states that who we are is who we will attract. So even when we work in a toxic work environment, if we are lights, if we are shining bright, if we are executing, if we are solution driven, if we are giving our best, if we're helping to advance ourselves and our co-workers, our light is shining. And other people in that environment is also looking at us, looking at the way that we are performing, and we're networking without even knowing that we're making an impact on someone that has the ability to take us into our next opportunity, a promotion, another company. They may give a reference. So always be mindful when you're networking that this networking opportunity is about building your network, building your opportunity to get to know other people, showcasing you in the best light possible, but being authentic. Everyone can pick out a fake. So if you faking it to make it, people are going to be able to determine that you're faking it. That's why when you show up in networking environments, it's important that you show up letting your core values show, your characteristic traits show. No one should ever have to ask who you are after they've interacted with you. Because when someone interacts with you, who you are as a person comes out in that interaction. And when you walk away from that interaction, they walk away knowing what your values are without you even having to say it. Because the thing about having core values, the thing about having a vision or a mission is that we have to act on those things so that they are seen. Remember, people pay more attention to what we do versus what we say, which is why it's super important for us to show and be the example 100% of the time. So reach out, touch other people, join groups on in your various social networking platforms. Go out in in-person events, networking events that are connected to what you want to do, what your passion is, what your career is. You may want to be an entrepreneur. So it may mean that you recognize that while you're in this meantime situation, you have the opportunity to beef up your skills, start networking, start working on your business, creating the plan for your business so that when you're ready to step out, you have a foundation that you've already built. So the first thing is to recognize that the toxic job that we're in, the one that's sucking the life out of us, that's making us depressed, doesn't have to be a lifelong situation. It could be a meantime situation. Secondly, up level your skills. Thirdly, network, network, network. I'll tell you something amazing about networking. Last week, a good friend of mine, Keisha Cooper, added me to a group on LinkedIn. When I went in this group on LinkedIn, there was a lady who came into the group and she posted that she was out of work. She lost her job. She was a new mom. And there was a lady in that group on LinkedIn that went wild trying to assist this lady that she didn't even know personally. She was a recruiter. She started asking questions about what do you do? What do you enjoy? What are you passionate about working? Are you open to remote opportunities? And she started to connect her with other recruiters that had open positions. So, as a part of networking, we have to be willing to put our ego and our pride down and ask for help. People won't know you need help unless you say or ask for it. So, the fourth thing that we need to do now is to beef up our resume. Listen, your resume is your stamp. So, when the recruiter receives your resume, your brand is already on that document. So when you submit a resume for a job that you really want to have, check your grammar, your punctuation, check your margins, make sure that you're written proper English or whatever your language is, make sure that it's proper, make sure that your resume is polished. When you present your resume, I want to encourage you to focus on two things specifically on your resume. The first thing I want to encourage you to focus on is your strengths. What are you best at? There can't be a generic objective why you want to work at an organization. Well, I've seen a lot of resumes that say, well, I want to work at an organization where I can use my skills and talent and where that organization can give me the opportunity for growth. No, that's too generic. You need an objective that states, as a result of my leadership skills, I've been able to A, B, C, and D. My strengths have allowed me to A, B, C, and D. And as a result, the organization that I worked at experienced a lift in this particular area. So you want to focus your resume on your strengths. The second thing that you want to make sure that your resume or your cover letter covers is your previous results. My resume when I was in corporate world focuses on the corporate world here in the Bahamas, focused on the fact that when I worked at the Atlantis Resort and Casino, one of the, well, the largest hotel in the Caribbean, I worked in the retail division initially, and my resume states that as a result of being the general manager of the retail division, the employee morale increased by 55%. Our sales and revenue hit record amounts in excess of $1 million in less than a year. So you want to make sure that you're now indicating the results that you've helped your other organizations to achieve. Every organization wants a solution driven employee. Every organization wants an employee that will deliver results. So as you are looking at beefing up your resume, make sure that your history, your employment history, it doesn't have to go more than 10 years. You factor those 10 years or hone in on those 10 years and begin to speak about the results that you've given. And this is why your personal brand is so important. This is why when you're working in a toxic work environment where you're not happy, where you're depressed, where you're sad, and it's sucking the life out of you, that you remember you're putting your stamp on that organization and you are still executing in excellence, because this experience now is going to be able to transfer to your resume and then transfer to the organization that will eventually hire you. So take some time to build your resume. And if you're not certain of what to put on your resume, connect with a content writer. Like my good friend who was here with me today. I don't want to mispronounce her name, but she's commenting on my live today on LinkedIn. Content and resume builders. You want to connect with them. Let them create a polished document for you because you want your resume to be memorable. There are thousands of people applying for jobs. What makes your resume different? So you want to make sure that you beef up your resume, identify your strengths, identify the results that you've helped organizations in the past to achieve, and also talk about your own growth and development. Okay. Anyone that's working in a leadership position or any position and they're not growing, they're becoming stagnant. And because you are working in a toxic environment, doesn't mean that you need to now become a toxic person. So let's recap. Meantime situation, you can leave that job. You're not stuck there. Being there is a choice beyond anything. Accept responsibility. Being in the job that's sucking the life out of you is a choice. It could be a temporary choice or it could be a permanent choice. If you want it to be a temporary choice, up level your skills, network with other people, beef up your resume. And the fifth thing I want to share with you is while you are there working in that environment that's sucking the life out of you, look at your passions. Can you monetize your passion? What are the things that you enjoy? Can you start a side hustle? A side hustle that you can get off from your job, your 9 to 5, and then go home and put the effort into your side hustle. Here are some things I want to encourage you to do. Get a cash register going. You can sell something. There are there are marketplace available on Facebook, social media. You can take out ads, you can have garage sales, you can build your hobby to the place now where you can monetize that side hustle. So instead of going home and binge watching on Netflix, go home and put 2 times the amount of effort that you're giving your 9 to 5 toxic work environment into building a side hustle, because that side hustle could one day become one of your main revenue streams. So, what can you do for yourself to help you bring more income? The more money you have, the more power you have. Now, I'm not saying don't bring balance in your life at all. As a matter of fact, let me just tell you, there is no such thing as balance. What I am saying to you, though, is that you can carve out time for rejuvenation, for fun, but also carve out time to build your side hustle. I want you to really think about what you can monetize. Why? I'm so glad you asked that question because it takes me to my fifth point. Before I mention my sixth point, my apologies. Before I mention my sixth point for the wrap up, I want to tell you as you build your side hustle, it's going to require a lot of practice, practice, practice. Quick little personal story. When I changed jobs a number of years ago, because now I work for myself full time for the past 4 years now. But prior to that, I remember working at my job. I was happy. It was a beautiful work environment. I loved going to work. And I remember a headhunter reaching out to me and saying, listen, there's this organization that's looking for an expert. You have everything that they need. We want to invite you to go to the interview. And I declined. As a matter of fact, I declined their offer to go to this interview 3 times because I was perfectly happy on my job. The fourth time they called, though, I said, anyway, what could it hurt? Let me go to the interview. Went to the interview, second interview, aced the third interview, and then I was called with an offer. Now, the offer that I was called with was very appetizing, very appealing. But I said to myself, if I'm going to leave this job I love, I want to negotiate for some more. So we did our negotiations and we agreed on an annual salary and we agreed on benefits. And I was excited. I was excited for a number of reasons because the job that I loved, even though I loved it, it took a toll on me. I worked 7 days a week. I worked holidays. It took me away from my family. And I was at the point where I really wanted to dedicate more time to my family. And so I accepted the new job. 3 years into the new job, I can't give you the history of the 3 years. But after 3 years on the new job, I recognized that I had been sold a dream. I recognized that I was stifled. I recognized that the things that had been promised for me as a creative that were important were not going to happen. And I realized that I was getting a little depressed because I'm a change agent. And when you are a change agent and you can't affect change, it depresses you. My hands were tied, literally. And so I said to myself, Self, what are you going to do? Are you going to just sit here every day and talk yourself into going to work? I would sit down and have discussions every morning with myself, encouraging myself to go to work, reminding myself of my mortgage payment, my children's college fees, my everyday living expenses. I had this dialogue with myself about going to work. And so I said to myself, now, Self, what are you going to do? You have a choice. You can either continue going to this job that's sucking the life out of you, that's killing you inside, that's destroying your creativity, or you can choose to make this your meantime situation while you build your next situation. And in that moment, I recognized that I did not want to work for anyone else. I wanted to step into my own business. And so I executed a 3 year plan. Yes, I stayed on that job for a number of years later, but understanding it was my meantime situation. I stayed on the job. I executed in excellence. I met my deadlines. I got great performance reviews. I did what I was supposed to do and more because I pride myself on giving more value than I'm paid for. But while I was doing that, simultaneously now, I was using my vacation. I was using my off days to hone my training skills, my corporate training skills. And I remember working for a corporate establishment for 1 year without payments because one, I wanted to build my skill set. Two, I was just getting my certification. Three, I knew that I would need a reference when I stepped into my next, which would be my own business. And so I dedicated 4 hours a month to working in one company where I did leadership training for a year, for one solid year without payment, so that I could become better. Because to be an expert at something, it requires at minimum 10,000 hours of practice. So practice, practice, practice. So now I'm at the point where I've practiced. I'm at the point where I'm ready to step into my next. And this company that I worked for free for 1 year became my first paying client when I stepped into my own business. So I built the foundation, I'd practiced, I'd worked for free, I delivered value while working for free, and got a paid contract that sustained me during my first year as a business owner. And so it's going to require some off the wall actions. When you're just starting out, when you're building your side hustle, there has to be some give and take, some flexibility, because To be an expert means that you're taking the time to practice, to network, to showcase your skills. And so today, I am actually no longer having to hustle because now, in alignment, business is coming. Training opportunities are coming. Hey, we need you to do customer service training. We hear you're the expert at this because my reputation has now gone ahead of me. This is all in the up leveling of the skills, all in the networking, and all in beefing up my resume, which is now more my reputation than a written document. So, yes, your side hustle can eventually open the door for you to start your own business. Any of this is resonating with you? If any of this is resonating with you, I want to ask you to type in the chat for me and let me know that it's resonating with you. Tell me what you're taking away as I wrap up our conversation with my final point. My final point is get out of debt. Now, this one I left last because it's kind of sensitive. I want you to just think about it. I don't want you to type in chat to me anything about what I'm going to say about debt, but I want you to just think about it for a moment. If you didn't have the obligations that you do, mortgage, car payment, credit card payments, loan payments, all of the other payments that you have, if you didn't have that debt, would you be able to walk away from that toxic work environment because you had some savings in the bank and be okay? The answer to that question is actually yes. Debt keeps us enslaved. As a matter of fact, I read something just yesterday that the lender is the borrower is a slave to the lender. And so it means that we're shackled to these jobs, to this toxic work environment because our debt we're drowning. We have all of these obligations because society has told us that one, when we come out of high school, we have to get a college degree so we get student loans. Society has said to us, once we've done that, we need to get married so we get a loan for the wedding. Society has said to us, once we have gotten married, now it's time to have children. Children are expensive. I have raised 2 of them. As a matter of fact, my oldest child, her birthday is today, and she is an adult, 30 years of age, and she isn't going to like me saying that, right? Children are expensive. So now you have these children, you have childcare, school fees, college fees for them. And let's not just talk about your living expenses because you have to live somewhere. So that means you're paying rent, you're paying mortgage, there's light bill, electricity bill, there's water bill. You have credit card because there's not enough money to pay for everything. So we're swiping our credit card for clothes, for food. And now the debt is mounting up. The lender is a slave to the borrower. And because we're sitting in so much debt, we're shackled, like literally shackled to these toxic work environments. And I'm not telling you things that I've heard. I'm telling you some of the mistakes that I've also made because I don't want you to believe for a moment that I'm preaching at you. Because I can clearly remember a time where I worked and lived paycheck to paycheck. Because as much as we hate to admit it, we do compare. And we do want to live like the Joneses. We do want to have luxury, even though we're economically poor. We do want to show that we can wear nice clothes, we can drive a flashy car. Society has brainwashed us that these are the symbols of success. And today I want to disrupt that. Because as a result of my experience being in debt, what I recognize is society is trying to keep us enslaved. As a matter of fact, when I sat down through my own transformation and transitions, I recognized that many of the things that I spent money on were just catching dust, which made no sense. And I recognized a common one. One year I sat down because I made the mistake of going to a coffee shop, a very popular coffee shop one day, and the convenience of it had me going every business day for a complete year where I deposited $3,000 in a coffee shop in a year. And you may be thinking, oh, $11 a day is a small amount of money. But if you were to save $11 a day every business day, you could have that $3,000 at the end of the year to pay off a bill or to put in some investment. And I will not begin to tell you the many times in my youthful years that I sat in emergency situations and did not have the funds to buy a new tire, to pay for the repairs on my car, or an emergency situation with my kids because society had told me that I needed to spend, spend, spend. Today, I want to come here and encourage you to unshackle yourself from society. Unshackle yourself from what society is telling you and begin to form your own beliefs about money and about debt. Because I want you to know that the freedom I live today at having one bill, which is essentially my mortgage, I cannot even begin to explain the freedom that comes with understanding that you don't have to be stressed out, killing yourself, working in toxic work environments, getting all your side hustle money so that you could buy frivolous things that are not adding value to your life. So here's what to do. Sit down for 1 month and create for yourself a spending journal. You want to write down everything that you're spending money on every day, what you're spending money on breakfast, lunch, dinner, even if it's a chip in the grocery store, even if it's 5 cents. You want to write down in that journal for a month where your money is going. At the end of the month, take the time to sit in reflection and identify your financial leakage. We often say that we don't have money to save, but if we take a look at our spending, we would realize that if we eliminate some of the non essentials, we now have money to pay down on our debt. And so I paid off my credit card and I cut it up because who needs 5 credit cards? So I paid off the second credit card and I cut it up because paying it off and leaving it available if you're not strong enough will tempt you to use it and say, oh, I'll just pay it. And you'll end up in that black hole again. So I want to encourage you to eliminate debt as much as you possibly can and put every extra dollar on the principal of your loan, on your credit card payments, pay more than the minimum so that you could unshackle yourself from having to sit in toxic work environments to be for the obligations and the financial obligations that are non-essential. So that's my Sunday chat for you today, my friends. Understand that there are meantime situations where we're marking time and we're sitting in toxic work environments because this is necessary for the moment. I want you to understand that you have the power within you to make a decision to let that opportunity of working in a toxic work environment become a temporary situation for you, a meantime situation. Don't let 15, 20 years pass and you're still complaining about being in this work environment where you're unappreciated, you can't advance, you're being stifled, your coworkers are toxic. No, you have a choice. So choose to let that be your main time situation. And once you've established that this is your main time situation, up level your skills, build your skill set, focus on your personal brand, focus on lifting your education, focus on enriching yourself, network with other people, make sure that you're showing up, make sure that you're being authentic, make sure that you're sharing in those spaces. Don't just be a taker. Don't just be a taker. Give just as much as you take. So network with other people. Beef up your resume. Make sure that you start a side hustle and practice that side hustle until you could become an expert and turn it in one of your revenue streams. And finally, get out of debt. There's no shame in the game of having to be on a job that you're not happy at. The shame comes when you sit in victimhood and believe, woe is me, and you have no choice. That's on you. What you can do, though, is power up. accept responsibility, level up, and go find your next. I hope that this conversation has inspired you, and I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you for joining me today, and we'll talk again soon. Take care, guys.